Hello everyone, my name is Renee and it has been a while since I made a video. I think precisely like 3 weeks. I want to quickly apologize for that. I did something bad and I happened to get grounded, and so that has been what's keeping me from doing booktube. Now that that's out of the way, I want to get on with the video. February is finally over and it is the first week of March, at least it is right now because I'm filming this first week of March, obviously. But I finished a ton of books in February. I happened to go over my goal for the month and that makes me very happy. Because February is over, I decided to do my February wrap-up. So let's get started. This is in no order, by the way. I kind of picked out the books randomly on my shelf and they're in a pile, and so that's what I'm gonna go with. The first book I'm going to show you is The Boyfriend by Earl. It's about 160 pages long and this book changed my life. I absolutely adored this book because there were so many twists and turns. It left me confused and wanting to read more, and that's why I loved it. I finished this in a day, and when I got to school the next day I told all of my friends about it because it had me reeling. This book is about a girl and she has a boyfriend named Dex, and Dex happens to fall off a cliff and die. The same night, Joanna, the protagonist of the story, gets into a car crash and lands herself in the hospital for a long time. She's in there for about a month, and she comes out, gets herself a new boyfriend because she didn't actually care about Dex. In fact, the day of Dex's death, she planned on breaking up with him. However, one night, Joanna's in her room and she sees her ex-boyfriend Dex, who was supposed to be dead, climb through her window. Obviously, this freaks her out and a bunch of stuff happens, and I really recommend it. I don't know where you can buy these because I bought this at a thrift store for like $1. I know R.L. Stine has like a bunch of these tiny little books. I think the reason why I like this so much is because it's so short, but there's so much amount of detail and so many things that happen that it's incredible. I also happened to read this book for the Project TBR readathon, and so yeah. The next book I finished is Cut by Patricia McCormick. I advise people who have trigger warnings for self-harm and many other mental disorders to not read this book because these are main points in the book that pop up. This is about a girl named Callie who is put into a behavioral institute because she cuts herself, and throughout the entire book, she does not talk. However, it does have a very touching ending, and though I don't normally read books about such topics, I've been wanting to read this for a long time now, so I picked it up at a thrift store that I go to, and I finally finished it. It's not that long, but I rated it about like 3 out of 5 maybe. So yeah, moving on. Next book I have here is Scarlet, which is the next book in the Lunar Chronicles. I have been dying to read this. I absolutely adore this series. I'm so glad that I finally got to read this. Oh my gosh. In the first book, you see a new rendition of Cinderella, and in this one, you get glimpses of Red Riding Hood and Cinderella. This is absolutely amazing. There's so many different point of views in this book. There's Prince Kai, there's even a bit of Lavanna, there's Cinder, there's Scarlet. I think it's absolutely incredible. This is about Scarlet, and her grandmother goes missing, and so she meets a street fighter named Wolf, and they travel and they try and find her grandmother. This series is absolutely incredible, and if you haven't started, I advise you do. The next book I have is The Rain by Virginia Bergen, and this was talked about on Ben's channel, and I will link it down below. I liked it. I thought it was pretty interesting. I really want to read the next book. It's about this girl named Ruby, and she's at a party, and all of a sudden it starts to rain acid, and obviously that's a big deal because acid burns through skin and all this stuff, and so a lot of people die, and so this is basically her story and how she goes through this apocalyptic world type situation. It took me a while to read because I did feel bored at a few parts. However, I'd give it a 3 or 4 out of 5, maybe a 3.5 out of 5. The next book that I finished in February is Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jessie Andrews. I actually really enjoyed this. I thought it was very realistic. I thought it was a very real read. I also like the change in writing styles in this book. There's the regular type of writing style that we all know and love, and there's also script writing. I don't know if you can see that, but right here, that is script format. And so I thought that was really interesting because Jessie Andrews does mention that he was a movie writer, movie director, screenwriter, whatever it's called. And so to see that kind of mix in a book for the first time was incredibly interesting. There's something that I really adore about this book, and I can't really place my finger on it. I think it was just really real and really touching in a weird kind of way, but out of 5, I definitely give this like a 4.5, even a 5. I absolutely love this book, and I really want to read it again, and I probably will in the future, so I advise you to go pick it up. Not to mention that I also read this book for the Project TBR readathon, which I failed at, by the way. The last book that I read in February is called Dancer Girl by Carol M. Tansman. I picked this up at the same thrift store that I always go to for my books, and I thought it was really interesting. The only reason why I picked it up is because right now I'm watching the series called Eye Candy, which is on MTV, and I absolutely adore it. So I thought the plot kind of resembled Eye Candy a little bit, and so I thought I'd give it a try. It's about this girl named Alicia who loves to dance, and at a party, she's filmed dancing, and she doesn't know about it until her friend confronts her about it and asks if he can post the video online. When he does, a whole spiral of events occur, and it turns out that she's being stalked. So her and her friends try to figure out who's stalking her, how to get it to stop happening, and yeah. I liked it. I thought it was interesting. I finished it in a day. It's quite a short read. I'd say there's about like 200 pages. Nothing big. It definitely was not my favorite of February though. I think I'd give it like a 2.5 out of 5. But it definitely kept me entertained, so if you want to pick it up, go ahead. But anyways, thank you for watching. I promise I'll have a video out by the end of this week. All my social links are down below.